All right, I can admit when I'm wrong. My name's Greg. You're watching How to Play Paintball. So before we get started, I want to say a huge thank you to PunishersPB.com for sponsoring this video. Be sure to check out PunishersPB.com for all the best deals on all your gear. So before, what I had talked about was the way to lane was that you had to go like this and pull straight up. I've changed my mind. So whether that be a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. We'll see. But I've changed my mind because it's not always the best to do that. Paintball is a very fluid sport where you have to make adjustments to whatever it is that's happening. So you might have to start like this to come off to lane a certain spot, because then you can back up into a bunker. Well, if that's the case, then do that. I don't care if I look goofy. If I'm able to go and win the event, who cares? I'm able to go and do that. So if I am pulling straight up to shoot at someone, well, what's going to be the easiest way? Well, if I'm more comfortable doing it this way and kind of doing the golf swing version, or coming straight up, is going to be completely fine. There are going to be some pros and cons. When you come straight up, you really only have to worry about that y-axis, right? When you're coming across, sometimes it's just a little bit more comfortable. I don't know if it's something with your rotator cuff or whatever, but when you come straight up, sometimes it's not as comfortable. Now, if I have a player though, that is right here, for me to have to come over like this and then start shooting, I've now lost a half second. That can mean the difference of me eliminating a player or not. So I might need to come straight up because of the way that the player is set up. So here's something that's not going to change, and this is something that I will not change my mind on, is how to set up if you're going to be running and gunning out somewhere. Let's say I'm running and gunning out to this left side here. Some people, what they do is they'll set up with their feet straight forward. The reason why you don't want to do that is as I come across to go and run, this foot now has to take an extra step out to allow me to move forward. The issue with that is you probably have had it even happen before, where a paintball is right there next to your head, and if you were just that little bit slower, you would have got shot. Well, you're giving them that extra shot if you take that step. So what I do is this outside leg, whatever side, whether it be the right or the left side, I'm actually turning it out a little bit, so that way I'm able to launch immediately into the direction of where I'm going to be going. Playing devil's advocate, there could be an issue where the team is looking and seeing that you're setting up like that. They know that you're going to go a little bit, but good thing with this setup though is that they don't know if you're going to go deep, if you're just going to pull up right away. Maybe you're just using it as a way to pull out real quick and then you're jumping back. You have a lot of options. Something I would not recommend is I see people sometimes they'll set up like this and then they kind of pull around to shoot. You're messing yourself up. It's not something that's going to be good, especially if you have to turn like this. Now you have to think that you have to turn to look where you're shooting. You have to spin your body around as you're pulling your marker up. You're adding in a lot of these extra factors that are just going to make your shot worse. Whereas if I can be looking straight down the field, see exactly where it is that I need to shoot, I can look at the clock, I can look at my teammates, see what they're doing on the box, and then when I go to launch, I'm just looking to where it is that I need to actually be shooting so I can be effective on the field. All right, so one last thing that I'll say, and this is something I've mentioned before, but I wanted to redo this laning video because I was just not exactly correct with what I had talked about before, is the fact that, let's say I'm shooting at this E for the Empire logo here. If I'm running and gunning that way, I actually want to be aiming more here. The reason being is that paintballs, although they travel 300 feet per second, they're still going to take time by the time you pull the trigger to when the ball actually leaves the barrel. If I'm aiming here, I'm going to end up shooting over here. And the only reason is because by the time the ball is actually leaving the barrel, it's going to be more lined up this way. So if I'm running and gunning this way, I'm actually aiming here, and this is where practice is going to come in, because maybe you need to actually aim here or maybe a little bit here, but you want to aim on the inside of that particular target. Same thing if I'm coming this way, I want to be shooting more here, because by the time I shoot, the ball actually leaving the barrel, I'm going to be hitting that E spot. So again, how fast you run is going to affect that, you know, where it is that you're shooting, maybe even your paint. So there's going to be some subtle factors, and that's why drills come in. but at least this is a good starting point for you. So do you agree? Do you disagree? Put it down in the comments down below. I hope that this is something that helps you guys out, even if you do shoot or lane only one way. Hopefully you see the importance now of being able to try out those different types of shots, so that way you're able to be the most effective on the field. Thank you again to punisherspb.com for sponsoring this video, and as always, remember, watch, learn, win. Thanks.